if you want to be successful in anything in life, you got to stay in your lane, even if you have two lanes to choose from. Stay on the path.
This is your first day in real estate, and I am your real estate sales trainer and coach, James Festini. And this is the program that's going to teach you how to sell more real estate in less time.
Welcome back. I thought that was a little meta, right? The announcement of talking about staying in our lane, the necessity to stay focused on one task at hand. But we're diverse. We're diverse, complicated human beings, and we want to do more than just punch a clock. We don't want to follow the masses. For those of us who are artistic in tendencies, we want to do more than just. We want to be more than just the title. We want to be more than just the logo or the brand. We want to do more. But the truth is that when you adopt an industry like sales, particularly real estate, you become a brand. You become an ambassador to the industry. Just like if you opened up a McDonald's, if your McDonald's was to serve hot dogs, I think some of them do, but in the States they don't do hot dogs. But if your McDonald's was to decide to start serving hot dogs, and you couldn't make that decision on your own. And that is why McDonald's is so successful. They stay in their lane. Starbucks stays in their lane. Coca-Cola stays in their lane. They make one product. However, Starbucks, for example, is not afraid to experiment, but they stick to the fundamentals. They stick to the basic foundation of what got them there. Hamburgers, shakes, fries, fast, convenient, predictable, reliable food. If I go to an Egg McMuffin, go get an Egg McMuffin. Actually, if I go to get the combo, which is 2 Egg McMuffins and the large coffee for, I don't know, 5 something, I will get that same result, that same flavor, a blindfold test. I could do it in California or New York, and it will be the same. It's consistency. Now, they are not afraid to try other products. You can see once in a while they'll throw out like pumpkin shake, or they're trying a new this or they're trying a new that, see what sticks. If it doesn't, same with Starbucks. Man, talk about the ultimate pandering. Talk about the perpetual entrepreneurial spirit. Walk into a Starbucks store, take a tally of what they've got in their inventory in October, and then go back there in February and see how the whole thing changes. But their foundation is the same. They've got their house coffee, their blend, they've got the Pikes Peak, they've got the iced caramel macchiato. It's going to stay the same. The bean that got them there stays the same, but they're not afraid to say, let's try this, let's try this. Do you like this? Some Starbucks are serving wine. Let's try wine. Some places do, some places don't. Some places you can buy sandwiches, some places you can't. But if you walk in there, you will see a variety of coffee machines and different coffee pods, adapting to the technologies. Look at the example of Keurig. If you're familiar with the Keurig, those are those instant coffee packets. It's a machine that was developed and made super popular with another brand of coffee, Green Mountain Coffee. If you know the history of it, Green Mountain Coffee and Keurig were like hand in hand. They were the only ones who really made those K-cups. What they are, they just pre-built, pre-made, one-shot coffee. It's a machine that you put in these little cups. You pop in the machine, you press the button, and out comes a really good cup of coffee, vacuum sealed. I mean, I'm a coffee snob, but I don't know much about it. I just know good coffee from bad coffee according to my taste buds. And you probably, if you drink coffee, you're the same way. You're like, this sucks. I don't know why, it just sucks. So I needed to lay down that foundation of the coffee so that you understand that when Keurig and Green Mountain Coffee Company were booming, Starbucks wasn't touching it. You wouldn't find those pods in Starbucks. You actually had to go out. Is this lady staring at me? We actually had to go out and buy a conversion kit where you poured your grinds into a little fake K-cup, and if you wanted Starbucks in an instant K-cup, it was a total mess because you had to pour grinds into this little shot glass and then close the seal and then brew coffee, and it was never the same. At what point did Starbucks decide to make K-cups along with and compete with Green Mountain Coffee? It was when Keurig was big enough. So at what point, let's go back to now, how does this relate to sales and real estate? When do we decide to advance our methods and rely on a new technology or a new system or a new philosophy in real estate. See, we're not a physical product other than ourselves and the house. But when you're a listing agent, you're selling yourself. If you're going out to get a listing presentation, you're going to go out and convince a homeowner to hand you 6% of equity of their property. You better have a damn good reason. You have to have a damn good bean. You got to have a really good Egg McMuffin, and you've got to stay in your lane. Be very good at that. What do I mean by staying in your lane? What is the bean of the real estate entrepreneur, the salesperson in any industry? It is your product and where you are best and what you know the best, or a desire to learn a new technology or a new formula or a new system to get good at that and then adopt it and be the best. For example, I always say that I just almost missed the technology wave. If you were born in 1972, I believe this, there's a formula that was brought up in a book called Outliers. I think it was Outliers, where it talks about a perfect combination of sequences of events that had to happen for Bill Gates to happen, for Steve Jobs to happen. It's just this culmination of environmental factors, chance, coincidence, and it comes into being greatness. And without any of those elements, it might not have happened. Upbringing, an encounter with this, or having a local Radio Shack and knowing them. You know what I mean? If you know the story there. When you talk about the outliers and the perfect storm, my perfect storm, I was born in 1972. My parents were in the real estate industry. My mom, I think, started in like 85, 86. And then my dad joined her in like 87, 88. He quit his career job as an engineer. I started in 93, but right there between me starting in like 92 was when I was starting to study for my license. I suddenly became just a little bit interested in technology. And that was right around the time where my parents needed help with their technology, and I was just about to get in the business, and they had me start telemarketing. I was doing the cold calling for them. Now all of a sudden it evolved to like, where are the leads going after we call them with a old school Plantronics? Well, now there's this new technology-ish called DOS. And Top Producer was inside of DOS at the time. And so Top Producer was a contact management, and I started observing how the CRM worked. And it was in between a time where I was holding a case. I literally had a 12 or 6 by 15 shoebox, like wooden custom shoebox. One side was alphabetical, one side was chronological, and I had duplicate copies. I had a super OCD method for follow-up, because there's two ways before technology how you could organize people, either alphabetically or chronologically based on when they were going to be a lead or not. And you had to actually have two copies, and then I merged it into one and started using an alphabetical / chronological based on these little colored tabs. That's a whole nother story. But as soon as like Top Producer and DOS came in, I was the guy who was there. And something must have happened where suddenly I was interested and curious about how it worked. Not to the point where I was going to code, but how it worked in my real estate career. And then by chance, I saw Glenn Ross right around that time, and I was motivated. And just by pure luck, I ran into an original copy, which is extremely hard to find. I still can't find it, of a reading of The Greatest Salesman in the World by Og Mandino. I know you can find the one on Audible, but that's not the one I'm talking about. There's a completely different one that's super rare. Super rare. If you find it, I'll pay you $50 for a copy of it. That's how rare it is. It's a narration with audio. You can hear like horses in the background. There's dialogue. It's an awesome book. But it changed my life to the point where I've got these massive tattoos on the back of both my legs. I'll have to show it another time. Of the scrolls and the vows. That's how committed. I mean, I just psychologically, a switch turned on, and I became engulfed in the field of technology and sales, and I embraced it. So in order for you to stay in your lane, something somewhere somehow captured your interest, sparked your imagination, triggered a dream, visually enhanced the possibility of you being something great in another place other than the 9 to 5. And then you zeroed in on it. And there have been elements where like you zero in on that bean, you zeroed in on that egg McMuffin, you figured out, all of a sudden you pop off a sale from here, you pop off a sale from there, and you start feeling good about it, and you find yourself in a space where you're like, if this was what it was all about, I could totally dominate. But then over the course of time, you get disenchanted. Something happens. You have a bad experience in that niche. Or maybe you're saying this wasn't like it used to be. Maybe you're getting burned out. Maybe you're not focused. And so you have to still embrace the lane. I, James Festini, am not going to be able to take drugs and move to Venice Beach. I mean, I always say this is like my vision. Move to Venice Beach in a studio apartment just above the shore. Take drugs all day. Write poetry all night, but during the time that I'm taking drugs, I'm writing poetry and painting and selling it on the side of Venice Beach. Have you ever been to Venice Beach? I want to be that guy, but I don't want to be, I want to have enough money to be that guy. I don't want to be like, anyhow, it's a dream, midlife crisis dream. I'm over it because I have to stay in my lane. What am I good at? Am I a good painter? Yeah, I think I'm a good painter. Am I a great poet? Yeah, I'm a great poet. Is it gonna get me, now that I have the responsibility of a mortgage, a wife, a children, bills, I've got all of these other responsibilities, so I gotta stay in my lane. I gotta stay with the bean that I know best. It is my lane. And yet somehow I've managed to shift that lane into real estate sales training and coaching, and my enthusiasm for like acting and sharing and creating with paint and poetry. I'm now shifting that. I'm still creating the bean. I'm still making it, but I'm not afraid to try Frappuccino. And it seems to be working. That's why Starbucks tries the Frappuccino. It works. They didn't start with Frappuccinos. They started it, and now it's a staple. And I bring to you the iced caramel macchiato, and it stays, and it becomes known, and now you guys enjoy it. I bring you the Frappuccino and you enjoy it. But now, what is this Frappuccino? What is this, all this crazy talk? I'm talking about you trying to find 2 or 3 areas of interest in the field of sales that you can dominate. Whether it's, if you somehow nail it and crush it on Facebook ads, if you somehow manage to pull off your social network, somehow that calls to you. But that's just one spoke of a wheel. Imagine a bike tire or a wagon wheel, and each spoke supports the rim of the wheel. Without one spoke, there would be a problem, right? In a wagon, you missing one spoke, the wood cracks. Think, 200 years ago when the wagons were made of steel and wood, it would be bad to break a spoke on your wooden wheel. Each one of these is a piece of the pie to real estate success, sales success. And so you have to find your multiple avenues. And you've got to be careful that when you're building the wheel, you're not focused on the axle. Your specialty is the wheel. Yes, the whole wagon is part of it too, but you specialize in the wheel. And part of the problem nowadays is that real estate agents in particular, they want to be trainers and coaches. You've heard me say it before. They get a couple of sales, they get the inspiration, something calls them, they watch too many, Grant Cardone videos, maybe they go to a Tony Robbins seminar, and all of a sudden they're like, I could do that, and then they start speaking on that topic. But what inevitably happens is that at some point your conviction to that model will be tested to the point where you'll give it up. You want to speak about it with lack of experience, you want to get out of your lane, you are going to possibly suffer by veering off the lane in your sales career. I suffer when I veer off my lane. I've juggled because of my intense ADHD, OCD, repercussions of LSD and maybe some PCP, and maybe some too much TMZ or not enough. You have this after effect of, you think you're inspired by it. Is that idea an entire book, or is it a chapter? You see, many times I've had this brilliant idea to write a book on a topic. One was called like One Magic Word, and it was about utilizing one powerful word in your existence to thrust you into success. My powerful word was ambition. You'd have to read my book, which should be in the work. It's on Amazon. I'm not going to pitch it because it's got errors. If you want to buy a book that has errors, there's an app for that. It's on Amazon. A full disclosure, it needs some editing. It's got some issues, but it's there. You can buy my book. I don't promote it because it's not right yet. Perfection is important for this. But I talk about this one magic word, this ability to say a word and it makes you. So I wanted to write a book called One Magic Word. And when I began writing the book, it shifted because I couldn't stay long enough on that topic. There wasn't enough either passion or knowledge or tap into resource or source energy and channeling of the spirits of wisdom that it takes to write a book. You have to have an outside source telling you, hey, write. You can't make this shit up. You got to want to write a book. You don't write a book if you don't want to write a book. It just doesn't work that way. You got to have it. So you go out there and you create, and I said one magic word and it didn't have enough. And then it developed into something else and then something else. And then one magic word became a chapter in the book, Life There's an App for That. Because it was a topic I felt passionate enough about, just enough to write a really long, good chapter. What is it enough for you to stay 100% dedicated in your sales? Is it expireds? Is it for sale by owners? Is it cold calling? Is it cold calling with an emphasis on expireds and for sale by owners? Is it cold calling with a passe or blase effort in the for sale by owner and expired, but you also do cold calls like me? My formula, my system has the major spoke of the core, the strongest spoke, the spoke that must be immediately replaced is prospecting spokes. Door knocking, cold calling, for sale by owners, expireds, past clients. It's all telephone based prospecting. It's beyond the spoke is, and I can no longer use the spoke because there's a branch to say, oh, a branch, a branch of the tree, and we're planting this tree. And one branch is telephone prospecting. You pick up the phone and you prospect, and each one of those branches could include a variety of those things, but the foundation is telephone prospecting. Another major branch is going to be door knocking, prospecting once again. So maybe it's not even, maybe my whole tree is predicated on prospecting. Maybe my whole philosophy, maybe the trunk of my tree is one thing. And then those are the branches. And then I say, well, then if that's the case, then that is my lane and that's what I'm comfortable with. I am completely foundationally based in lead generation, and that's how I am successful. That's how I keep doing this year after year. It's because I stay in my lane. I'm very aware of the silver magic bullet, the magic potion, the special pill, the red or the blue. Should I go with Trulia or Zillow? How about neither? Because neither of them are part of my tree. They might just be more like nutrients in the ground that, yeah, I might try them. And if they get absorbed and they work, then I will definitely grow another branch. If it doesn't work, then I will keep them in the soil because that's what they are, is dirt. They are ground. They are sucking the life out of me. I need to suck the nutrients out of that. So therefore, I leverage Zillow for the psychological advantage to enter the mind of the potential listing or buyer. I use Zillow every day. I hate Zillow as a lead generation method. I love Zillow for what it gives me, and that is insight into the public brain. When you go into a homeowner and you say how much you think your home is worth, and they say, well, I checked Zillow, you're like, so did I, and guess what? I can see your reaction. So what do you think about that answer from Zillow? What do you think about that price? They either do this, cringe, or then they're enthusiastic. So now you say if it says 950 and Zillow tells them 950 and they're happy, and your CMA says 900, now you need to adjust. If Zillow says 900 and they're thinking 950, then you know, because at 900 they winced and they're probably thinking 950, and your CMA says 9. Now you can adjust. You can go in and have this conversation in your brain before you have it in the public domain. And again, all of these things are useful tools to help me stay in my lane. What is keeping you focused? What is keeping you from complacency, right? Going back to the tree analogy, the tree is very complacent in summer. The tree struggles in spring. It's exposing its leaves, it's pushing through the ground, it's shaking off the winter, and in the winter, it suffers. But we are not trees, and we are certainly not bears in hibernation during the winter season. We must do everything we can at this point to build at least one more foundation, have one more lane. Real estate is a 3-lane highway. Well, it's a two. When you say 2-lane highway, it's coming and going. It's a 6-lane highway, but you're worried about your 3 lanes. My 3 lanes are telephone prospecting, cold calling, and follow-up. That's it. I don't look to the side. I don't see what the competition is doing. I don't care what the other realtors are doing. I don't care. I have a tendency to peek over the fence and see what other YouTubers are doing in my space. I know who you are. There's about 6 or 7 of you who are suggested videos on the right-hand side of my videos. Multiple times when I watch it, I cringe. I want to love these individuals for what they could bring me. But when I watch their videos, it's either predicated on bullshit and they should have never been out of their lane. They should stick to real estate until they have the chops or the maturity or the skills to go out and speak to the public. You're teaching, as far as I'm concerned, it's malpractice to share information based on a foundation of speculation, unless you definitely do a disclaimer that says, by the way, I am suffering in my effort to succeed in real estate, and here's what I'm learning, versus how to be wealthy in selling real estate, but I don't really do it myself. And there is a lot of very popular shit like that on the internet. I'm talking to the individuals who, like me, are just a one-man band or a one-woman operation with perhaps a spouse or a significant other or an assistant or a TC or an office manager or someone to kind of make sure that as you're going out leading a path of destruction, kill them all, let my assistant sort them out attitude that beast mode lead gen is. Again, of course, I'm not killing anyone, and I'm being very courteous, right? We do these things in an effort to generate more business. I stay in my lane. I know what I'm doing. And as much as I know that you guys want to click on the right-hand side suggested videos, I am hopefully creating enough content, either prospecting daily live before a studio audience in the Beast Mode Lead Gen Prospecting Challenge, side plug there, by the way, or live in YouTube, or live on Periscope, or live. I'm live right now. I'm about to go in. It's about 11 a.m. I'm gonna go in there. I'm gonna pick up the phones, put on my dialers, and I'm gonna prospect before a live studio audience from 11, 12, 1, 2, 3 for the next 5 hours. I'm gonna pick up the phone. I'm gonna ignore the planet, and I'm gonna share it with you. And I can show you rejection, and I can show you failure, and I can demonstrate success, but I can definitely keep it so transparent that you guys will see beyond the veil of, well, what is that guy doing, and allowing you to veer off your lane. It's like texting and driving. You shouldn't. I know you want to do it, so go ahead, click on the right-hand side, but check their stripes. And if it doesn't sit well with you, immediately unsubscribe immediately. I wish there was a function inside of YouTube that said, don't show me these people. They're distraction. That's my biggest issue right now, is the distractions. I don't feel as if there's anything that any of you guys can teach me anymore. I don't need anyone to edit my book. Not the fundamentals, not the ideas, don't tell me how to drive. I've had my license for 25 years. Real estate license. I think 30 like driving license, right? But my real estate license for 25 years. In that 25 years, I'm almost about to hit 1,000 homes. I'm measuring it right now. It's about 920, 930. Me, not my company. Companies come into the business and leave without doing that for decades. Decades. Me, James Festini Mafia. James, the godfather of prospecting Festini. From the first day I entered in 1993, I found my lane. It was telephone prospecting with a Plantronics headset, 2 lists of phone numbers, 2 headsets snapped in half, bending the little metal rod and putting it on my ears, a left and a right ear, getting an inner earbud so I can listen to some audio learning channels. Back then it was watching Glengarry Glen Ross, Blood In, Blood Out. I know exactly the time and the place where I was existing in this space. 1993, Anaheim Hills, above my parents' room. just before I went out and got married to the wrong woman. Now I'm with the right one, I think. Anyhow, so I was sitting there with my Plantronics, 2 lists, manipulating the mute button, dialing the numbers, looking straight ahead and out of my peripheral vision, and then have the last number, boop, boop, and then let them both ring. And then as they're ringing, 2 people pick up, because that was before the do not call list. Oh man, talk about pickup ratios. 80%, right? I don't even know. I didn't keep track of that fine detail. But absolutely, positively, without a doubt, you cannot doubt that James Festini has not been double fisting since 1992. What's double fisting? It's 2 earbuds, 2 headsets, 2 people at the same time, manipulating the headset with 2 people at the same time, having that conversation, closing, writing it down, entering it into a database, every day being my goal, 100 contacts a day. And if I never really left the industry, there was a short spell in like 95 where I went to a dialing room. I was just complacent. I was a kid still. I was like 25 years old or something. Just got married. And I went for about a year, part-time-ish. And then the other time I went to a telemarketing boiler room in Southern California. In this boiler room, what an experience. What an amazing opportunity to learn how good I am at telephone prospecting. I went into that room, and it's a room. Imagine the DMV all of a sudden set everyone a desk and said, pick up the phone and start calling. That's a boiler room. Talk about a freak show of just like drama. And every day I'd go down there. I was driving 30 miles a day. But that year in telemarketing, I made $100,000. The first time I ever made $100,000 in anything was in that boiler room. I financed a trip to Italy for a month. I landed the day Princess Di died. I was in London. How's that for an odd Festini fact? The night I landed in London was the night Princess Di was killed. The next morning, my London trip was no good. I did a trip for 30 days through Europe on that telemarketing gig. When I went into that room, there was probably 80 to 100 telemarketers. And every day they would have this challenge where the top 3, number 1 would get $100, number 2 would get $75, number 3 would get $50, number 4 would get $10, number 5 would get $10, number 6 would get $10, and then I think no one else after. I think after 5 they stopped. No one got paid. Maybe they got $10, maybe they got $20. Let's just say, with all the money we were making, they were handing out cash. It was like Wolf of Wall Street. Okay, imagine Wolf of Wall Street. Now imagine who was the top 3 in that room. Who were the top 3 in that boiler room? There's history. There's people out there that can confirm this. Who was number 1? My sister, actually. Jackie, number 1. She's a legend in Southern California among telemarketing rooms. She's been doing that longer than me, and she's better than me. If she ever wanted to telemarket, if I ever wanted to hire a telemarketer, I should hire her, but she's too much drama. Never mind. Bad idea. But if I had the money and I could just shut her up and let her throw a lead, world's greatest telemarketer. For Festini to say that, it means something. Who was number 2? Festini. Me. Out of a group of 100 people. And we're talking like the top 20 were legitimate. Like, there's a circuit in every town of any metropolis. There's a core. It's a very small society, but everyone knows everyone, and they bounce from job to job, and they go and answer the ad, telemarketer wanted, and you go to a room and you're like, oh hey John, oh hey Joe, you're here now? Yeah, the other place got shut down for whatever reason, and does whatever. It's always kind of shady, if you ask me. It's like temporary, solar people, insurance companies. It's just fleeting telephone companies. It's just weird. But I was always number 1 or 2. No, I take it back. This is transparency. I was number 1 once. My sister was livid. She didn't talk to me like a week. Didn't eat lunch. She worked all through lunch, and I never got that spot again. That's how badass this girl is. She is freaking crazy. But I was always number 2, number 3. Number 2, number 3. There was always one who'd pop it off, but I was always number 2 or 3. Then my sister would take the day off. Then she would be number 1. And then I'd be number 1. She'd come into work. Then I'd be number 2. Anytime she was there, she was number 1. Listen, so what does this all mean? It means that I know how to telemarket. It means that I know how to stay in my lane. It means that I know one thing, and it means that you should learn from someone who in essence is probably, in my opinion, I've already prepared the conversation with God. I'm going to say to God, I've already got a conversation with God in my head. If when I die or whatever, and I go to the pearly gates, and they say, "Do you have any questions, my son?" Or, "Do you have any questions, child?" Just if you ever saw the movie. Anyhow, I will ask this question: God, in the grand scheme of things, in the world of telemarketing and outbound calls by a single individual, how do I rank? I'm not kidding. I've prepared a question for God, and it's not like the meaning of life or nothing. I want to know how I did in the world of telemarketing. How many physical outbound spoken calls did I do? Not automated machine, not nothing. I mean, we're talking like, how many times have I pitched someone over the phone? And God's going to be like, I know he's going to be. I can't imagine that he wouldn't be over 30, almost 26 years. He's going to be like, damn, son. And I'll be like, tell me, God, tell me. I just have a feeling that I'm number one. I can't imagine another world where any other telemarketer has been doing this, for a decade in their heart of hearts consistently. I've stayed in my lane and it makes me money. Why won't you please allow me to be your mentor, to be your guru? If you want to be a part of everything I'm doing, if you want to be a part of the Beast Mode Lead Gen Prospecting Challenge, that is the epitome, the epiphany, the pinnacle, the climax of what I offer to the public. Is only 2 products ish. I do my I sell my scripts individually, my course individually, but right now I have the Beast Mode Lead Gen Prospecting Challenge. It is $100 for 100 days. You get in there, you get my contact mastery, my CRM mastery dialogue. You get my door knock mastery course. You also get the ability to, I have a tutorial just on how to make the marketing piece in-house, in office. It's more like a tutorial how to make the propaganda that you leave when you're door knocking, because that's one of the biggest obstacles when you're door knocking is, what do I leave? I teach you how to make something so you don't have to wait for a company to produce something. You don't have to go back and forth. All you do is build it. Might take you an hour to do it, and then you hit print, and then you do it, and then it's timely, it's efficient, it's super economical. I love that program. In my opinion, again, I've seen what the gurus have put out. I know people who've shared with me the other person's product on Door Knock Mastery, and oh my God, what's going on? You need to buy my course. my shit smokes it, because again, it comes from a place of intelligent and focused and determined and super hyper intense dedication to one task. I'm the master. Would you rather learn from Bruce Lee, or would you rather learn from someone who studies under Bruce Lee? I'm Bruce Lee. Right? I'm the Grand Master. I am the king. I am the godfather of prospecting. Hashtag godfather of prospecting. Hashtag Festini Mafia. If you want to join it, $100 for 100. If you really, seriously, the best thing you can do is take my one-on-one. I do offer it. I am limited, absolutely positively limited to 5 people. And I will tell you the 5 people when you request to get in, and I'll say, here are the 5, and here's when they're over. I will not take your money anymore at $1,500. Now you offer me $3,000, then I guess I could squeeze one more. But it affects what I do best. It affects me. Me doing this one-on-one, me doing these videos is a deviation from my lane. Me doing the video like this is not. Me having to commit to you for half an hour a week or an hour a week so I can have a dialogue with you about how to get in my head so that you can make it part of your head and adopt your technique, my formula. I have to go into the laboratory and tell you how to mix the chemicals. That takes time out of my day that I want to do prospecting. I'm addicted to prospecting. My workaholism, right? If you have an alcoholic, what's your thing? Wild turkey. If you're an alcoholic, what's your thing? Jack Daniels. If you're a workaholic, what's your thing? Prospecting. If you're a drug addict, what's your drug? LSD. If you're a drug addict, what's your drug? Heroin. If you're a drug addict, cocaine. If you're a workaholic, what's your drug? What is your drug that keeps you stayed in your lane? What can you never get enough of? keeps you in your lane? What are the 2 white lines that keep you focused on the task at hand? Complacency. Complacency is an alignment problem. Complacency is a running out of gas problem. Complacency is an engine exploding, blowing gaskets out of oil, water. I mean, it is just such a bad cancer to your ability to stay in your lane. Complacency. It's almost, and when I think about that, I've many times said, I need to write a book on complacency, but is it a book or is it a chapter? Stay in your lane, James. Pick up the phone, start prospecting. If you want to write a book, do it after 8 p.m. and before 9 a.m. and do it then, because only one thing counts right now. Beast mode lead gen. Generate more leads. The market very soon is going to give you all the time you want to do whatever else you want, provided you either work your ass off to afford it or the market shifts and you're out of the business. Which one are you going to choose? I don't want to be forced out of the business without taking a stack of cash with me. What's your poison? What's your dog? What's going to keep you in your lane? If you want to learn how to stay in the lane, if you want to learn how to drive, if you want to learn how to prospect the right way, I've developed a formula. Join me. If you want to join the Beast Mode Lead Gen Prospecting Challenge, don't find it on Facebook and ask to go in. It's cost you $100. If you do that, I'm going to send you a PayPal link and you just pay it. Or I'm going to say you can't come in because I'm in there. I'm sharing this stuff with you for 6 hours. Could you imagine this for 6 hours? This would be awesome, right? I engage with you. You come in, you ask me questions, I answer them, provided you pay me for what my brain is worth. If you don't think it's worth it, do me a favor, unsubscribe. If you're cynical, if you're watching me going, this guy, don't subscribe, man. You know how hard it is for me to unsubscribe from people that just make me cringe? Why would you cringe? You can avoid cringing. If I make you cringe, don't follow me. If I inspire you, if you're like, dude, this is the only one I found online, put in the comments. You're the only one I found online who actually does walk the walk and talks the talk and is actually staying in his lane and represents the demographic that is you. One person, maybe an assistant, driven. I don't want a team. I don't want to share the wealth. I don't believe in the team structure. I believe in support systems, but I don't believe in the team. If I was to have a buyer's agent, for what? To give my buyers to? What buyers would I give up? If they're really good buyers, I'm working them. That's a tough decision. I got a hot buyer. Here you go. What? Check your schedule, man. I got time for that. If you're not on one appointment every day, if you're addicted to the 100 calls a day, then yeah, I guess you want to throw it away. But if you're not doing 100 calls a day, don't give up that buyer. And if they're worth giving away, then they're probably not a buyer, and you don't need an assistant to send them shitty leads so that at one point they're gonna be like, dude, these leads are shit, man. I'm moving to another company, and all of a sudden you train the competition. God forbid they actually do what you're telling them to do. God forbid you introduce them to James Festini and they actually do it. There are very few people who can beat me at my own game. My sister and my wife. Hey, isn't that interesting? The two women in my life. Maybe that's why I fear them so much. Anyhow, thanks for watching, guys. This was a long one. I think there was a lot of wacky enlightenment, but it was, in my opinion, one of the more effective ones that you should definitely watch again and again. Please subscribe, but not just subscribe to the channel, not just... Also, in iTunes, I have a podcast. It's the same thing, but if you don't want to sit here and watch video, if you're a podcast person, I also do this. I convert this into a MP3 and it's on podcast. Go to iTunes and search Festini, and there I am. Subscribe and do me a huge favor. One last huge favor. I got so many favors I need of you, but just one big one. Above and beyond putting a comment in YouTube, above subscribing to my YouTube channel, even above sharing, go to iTunes and leave me a review. 1 star, 5 star. If you leave me a 1 star, just don't leave me. Just unsubscribe, man. That's totally cynical. But if you are a podcast listener, whether you use Stitcher, Spreaker, the podcast app on your iPhone, if you've never heard of a podcast and you own an iPhone, there's a little purple icon. Open it up. There's a whole world of knowledge there. If you don't want to learn all that, just open it up once, find Festini, and then that's it. Don't subscribe to anyone else. I'm okay with that. Same with Snapchat. Follow me on Snapchat. If you don't want to learn Snapchat, download the app, follow me, and that's enough of that. But you'd be surprised. Gary Vaynerchuk and Grant Cardone are there also sharing wealth like this that you like no other place. The Instagram's crowded space, but follow me wherever you feel most comfortable. I might be there. As of today, I'm most often in iTunes as a podcast, on YouTube as a video, on Facebook as a live interacting trainer if you pay for it. You could also join the Beast Mode Lead Gen group, but you can't join the Beast Mode Lead Gen Prospecting Challenge. Those are two different things. One's paid and one's not. And there's a reason why one's paid. You get product. You get access. So those are my face. And did I say Snapchat? Just learn it. If you don't want to learn it, you can just download it and call it the James Festini Show. Behind the scenes. Wow, I'm on a rant. Let's go prospect.
This episode is brought to you by Mojo Selling Solutions, the triple automated dialer I will not live without. The potential of being able to call more people in less time is how you will succeed, so go to mojosales.com.